These are some stories from the Am I the Asshole subreddit. Am I the asshole for freaking out when my wife locked our son out of the house at night after he drank alcohol? I, 39-year-old male, have a 16-year-old son with my wife, who's 40. This incident happened a few days ago and she's still mad at me. I was on a work trip, so my wife was at home with our son. When I got back, I found out that he had been hanging out with his friends and they convinced him to drink some beer and he got a little drunk. I'm not saying what he did was right, but him and I had a talk about it and it's fine. The problem is that when he came home and my wife found out, she was furious and kicked him out and refused to let him back in until the morning. He was begging to let him in, but she wouldn't. When I found out, I was furious. Regardless of what he did, she made a slightly drunk teenager stay outside by himself at night. Something very bad could have happened to him. We had a huge argument over it. I asked her how the hell she thought that was okay. She just kept saying that it's our son's fault for drinking alcohol. My wife isn't really talking to me now and my son isn't talking to his mom. I feel like I'm in the right, but maybe I'm not. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend this apartment isn't hers even though her name is on the lease? My girlfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years now. Back in May, she got a new, good-paying job and we signed a lease together for an apartment that I just moved into about 3 weeks ago. When we originally signed the lease, we agreed that I would move in July when the apartment came available and she would move in November, after having some time to live at home and save up some money. This will be her first time ever living outside her house, which she is very attached to as she's lived there for her whole life and has a very close relationship with her mom. Her dad died in high school, so her and her mom are very, very close. I had no problem with her waiting until November to move in. We agreed on that. Since then, she has been spending a lot more time at her house instead of time with me. She only stays at the apartment once or twice a week. She claims she is soaking up her final moments in the house that she was raised in before she finally becomes an adult and moves out. Since we signed the lease, we have spent a lot less time together as she soaks up these last moments at home. I've communicated that I wish we still spent more time together and I wish that she would spend the night more often and start making this place feel like home. She always disagrees. The actual issue is that when she's here and we have people over, she refers to the apartment as our place. When I put something in a place she doesn't like putting a cleaner in the wrong sink, she claims that this is her house too because her name is on the lease and she will be moving in soon, so she should get a say in where things go. I guess I don't see it as fair for her to call it our place when I communicated nicely that I wanted her to spend more time over here and she always shoots it down. I told her this isn't her place yet because she doesn't pay for it yet, and she only spends 1 or 2 nights a week here. She doesn't want to spend more time over here because she wants to soak up her final moments at home with her mom. So I told her if that's the case, then she has no say in where I put or do things here. I told her it's my home and not hers yet. She said this really hurt her feelings and made her feel unwelcome here. Am I the asshole for telling her that? Am I the asshole for refusing to give my brother and sister-in-law our grandma's jewelry? My dad cheated on his wife with my mom, but they stayed together. My mom died when I was a few months old and my stepmom didn't want me in the house, so I was raised by my grandparents, who passed away 2 years ago. My dad died before them, so everything was willed to my half-brother and I. I inherited their house and almost everything in it, and all of my grandma's jewelry, which is worth about $750,000. I was also the sole beneficiary to their life insurance. My brother got a few heirlooms and some money, but it was far less than what I got because he inherited a lot more from our dad, which I got pretty much nothing from. At the time, he didn't have a problem with it. He is getting married soon, and I was talking to his fiance who told me that my brother told her that our grandma wanted his future wife to get married wearing the jewelry she wore at her wedding. I have no idea why he told her this. He was not close to our grandma at all. She definitely did not promise him her wedding jewelry. I'm actually planning on wearing it to my wedding and talk to my grandma about that. I told my sister-in-law that I can't give her the jewelry. She can borrow it for her wedding, but she has to give it back because I plan on wearing it to my wedding too. She told me she doesn't want her sister-in-law to wear the same jewelry as her. I told her that I couldn't give her the jewelry, and if my grandma wanted my brother's wife to have it, then she would have willed it to him. I thought that was the end of it, but it was not. My brother called me that night and told me that his fiance was crying because of me and he deserved to have something from my grandma because I inherited so much more than him. I reminded him that I grew up with my grandparents and had a much closer relationship with them. He cussed me out and said I tricked them into leaving me most of their money. This isn't true. They raised me since I was a few months old and I went to a local university instead of my dream school so I would be able to stay home and care for them in their final years, so they obviously had a better relationship with me. I told him that his fiance can borrow the jewelry if she really wants to wear it to her wedding, but I can't give it to her. His mom called me the next day and called me all sorts of nasty things for depriving my brother of something that my grandma promised to give him. If my grandma had actually promised him that, then I would have just given him the jewelry. But I know she didn't, so I'm not giving it to him. Am I the asshole for saying no?